Yeah, welcome to another episode of Three Conservative Gimps, where we give you the information you need to know to make good decisions at the ballot box. Hey, it's great to be here. It's Articus G, your host and MC, or at least the host. Uh, uh, get the show going. I am coming live via my laptop. Everything is working great and looking good. Moved my light around a little bit today so you can see my sunny face. And so let's get this show going. Let's welcome my friend from Muskogee, Oklahoma. He's the younger Tom Brokaw. He's the guy with the dulcet tones. Let's welcome Lloyd Mendenhall.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I am just stuffed. I went to lunch with my sister today and her daughter and her family. It was my sister's birthday.
Your birthday? Yeah, I saw
today.
that.
And we went to La Loma Mexican Kitchen, which is downtown Denver, across the street from the Brown Palace.
Yep, and I know where that's at.
And the food was just outstanding. I was
good.
I was a little, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we got this really nice place. It's just a few blocks from my house, but this place blows that place away. I had the chicken enchilada, and it comes with two big pieces with I had the green chili and refried beans and rice, and boy, I just stuffed myself. And then my niece bought us a mud pie, and we shared that, and it was
it sounds good. Yeah, I'm kind of. Yeah, I had Judy doesn't very often want it, but she wanted pizza tonight, so I called in and ordered Pizza Inn, which makes it really good. They have their own, they make a house dough and got the thin crust, and man, I had 3 big slices of it, and I'm just stuffed. It's got the supreme. It's really good pizza.
Good. Well, let's welcome our third contestant, our third gimp. Let's welcome, all the way from the great state of New York, it is Charles Galusky. Welcome.
Hey, Art. Or after after that meal, I should call you Flatulous Rex.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. So,
how you doing, Charles? How's the weather in your neck of the woods?
It was nice and sunny today. Seasonably cool, but nice and sunny most of the day.
Good. Same here. It was sunny and warm. We were in about 75 today. Beautiful day today.
Excellent.
I just stayed home and just got this laptop all ready to go and ordered some more peripherals to finally get this thing to work. And Charles gave me a good idea that I should use the laptop as the main computer and use my PC like a NAS, and I could store my files back and forth.
Yeah, right.
So that's a good idea. Mm-hmm.
It is an excellent idea.
The camera on this is not bad, although I still might opt out for the go back to the Logitech. As soon as I get my parts, I ordered a 7 port USB hub.
A hub, yeah.
Yep. And I ordered a 1 terabyte thumb drive so that I could download Windows 11 if I decide to update the software on that.
Right.
Hopefully, it may take care of the problems I've been having. I don't know. So, but I got Windows 11 on the laptop and love it. It's working great.
Good.
All I did was I plugged in the mixing board, and
Right.
all I had to do is download the software. It works great. Works great, and
Cool.
I got my wireless mouse working, so that's good because then I don't have to mess around with the touchpad here,
Yeah.
and so everything's working good. So I just need to set it up with the Stream Deck and the vMix, and I'm on my way.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. So have you got vMix installed in it yet or not?
No, not yet. I'll do that tomorrow. Though I hope they don't ask me to pay for it again.
No, you're allowed to have it on 2 machines.
Oh, okay,
But
good.
if you've already registered on one machine twice, you may have to go back. You'll have to go to your account and delete that machine off of your account,
Right.
and
I got
then
you.
install it because you only have to pay for it once.
Oh, good.
But
That'd
you can
be
have up to 2 machines on it. So
great. And I think this is a 1.8 gigahertz i7, and it's got 16 gigs of RAM,
that's
and
good. Yeah.
and it's working great.
Is it a new one, or did you pick it up at Property Rooms, or?
No, I traded that police auction Avada for this.
Oh, okay.
With the original motion controller, and
Right.
what else did get? When I first got it, it just had the one battery charger. You only
Right.
charge one at a time, and so I included that, and I threw in a couple 64 gig SD cards. So
Okay, good.
I think I did all right on the trade. I don't think it got dinged too badly. Yeah.
No, if it it sounds like that's a fairly up to date computer. So
Yeah, it's only a couple of years old.
couple of years old. Yeah, I mean the one this PC I'm using right now, which is of course it's got the not got the i7, it's got the other brand. I forgot.
AMD.
Yeah, AMD. Yeah, it's got AMD in it.
You got the Ryzen 5?
Ryzen 7.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's about 4 years old, but it's still, I mean, the only thing I use it for is this, and occasionally I'll do a little video editing, but
Right.
for the most part, that's the only thing I use it for. And it runs fine,
Yeah, good. Mine's the PC is a Ryzen 7, and it's a 1700X, and I do have a 2700X that I could pop in there and
Right.
install. All right, so before we get going, let's say hello to everybody.
Andrew, I would go with the i9 chip. It wasn't out yet when I bought this one, or it was
Right.
just coming out. So
Yeah, and it's still pretty pricey right now.
yeah.
All right, so we got Andrew. Welcome. And then we got Joey J. Bird, and we got Steve Carpenter, SC Aerials, and Ronnie, God Bless America. And we got Michael, Cool Cat. And we got Brian, Waypoint, New England. And Brad, Catskills Brad, all the way from Charles Neck of the Wood, somewhere close to him. And Grumpy Vlogger, Charles Gillespie, and that's about it.
Joe.
I know we'll get some more Aussies popping in a little later, and we just had a time change.
Yeah.
This morning. And so everything's working good. I just had to. This PC was on Pacific time, so I had to fix that today, and now I'm on Mountain Standard Time, and I got a new watch which is on the Standard Time. I got that a couple days ago, and just already had it set up for the Standard Time because my old watch was starting to get cracked in the band.
Right.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yes,
Judy has a clock on her side of the bed, and it automatically updates for the time.
right.
But I have one I keep up on the wall, which also has the date and everything. And she said, well, it's 11:30. I said, no. She said, I woke up early today. It was like a few minutes after 11. I said, no, it's a few minutes after 12. I said, look at the clock. She says, well, mine's it. And then all of a sudden I remembered last night was the time change. It's the only clock I had to change because all the rest of them are automatically, update, but that one didn't. So like I thought, oh man, I could have slept another hour.
Yeah, same here. I still got up early. I got up at 5:30, 5:45, and got some stuff done. So we got Steve Knowles also coming in. Great. We'll probably get Grant, Mr. Stay Drunk, coming in.
Yeah, he probably has forgot that the time changed, and he'll probably show up at the end of the show.
Right, and same with Dominic. He usually
yeah, he may have forgot about it too.
All right, so let's get going. We got a new speaker, which is Mike Johnson from Louisiana, and you know what? He's just a poor guy. He doesn't have stocks, and he's not using insider trading to enrich himself like all these other congressmen. He's actually, taking his pay from his, congressional office instead of, saying, oh, well, this company is going to get a new contract. Hey, better buy some stock in that. And that's how a lot of these guys get. He's got less than $5,000 in the bank. Yeah. I like him already because of that. I mean, he's like Thaddeus McCotter. He was the same way. He didn't use his office to enrich himself like a lot of these.
And that's the way it should be, I think this speaker is going to be a little bit more in touch with the average American,
Right. Mm-hmm.
And man, I got gnats or something flying around here, driving me nuts. Yeah, just little. It'll drive me nuts. It's flying right in front of my friggin' face, too. That's what's bugging me. Like, go away. But, yeah, I think this is going to be a good speaker. I really do. I think
so too. Newt Gingrich was kind of, man of the people kind of guy, and very knowledgeable about the Constitution, and really try and a fiscal conservative, and well, from what I heard, he's got very little money in his bank account.
Yeah, well, originally they didn't even show they had a bank account.
Okay.
I think early on and that's been out there because and they said he probably does, but he has less than the amount it takes to trigger. If he has one, it's less than the amount that it triggers for them to have to report it to the congressional office. So, which is where the $5,000 comes from, because if it's over $5,000, then it would trigger the congressional office. He'd have to report it, but because he has less, it doesn't show. Doesn't show a bank account for him simply through the congressional reporting office. But that's what I read. I don't know, yesterday or day before.
Mm-hmm. Andrew says he's almost drowning in debt between mortgages.
Yeah, like a lot of us. He's your typical American. Not the typical White Hat or not the typical Washington D.C. Bureaucrats.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And Yeah, I think he's going to work to try to make it not equitable, but have it work where it helps the little guy rather than the big corporations and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just reading what Ronnie put up
Yeah,
there.
Ronnie said.
Yeah. Yeah, I've used that excuse too. Wait a minute. I still got checks in my checkbook. I can't be out of money. Isn't that what the American government does?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's about the truth of it.
And Mike Johnson, he hasn't been in office very long. He probably got in 2020.
No, I think 2018 was when he first came in.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't even get into politics until 2015.
Right.
And that's when he ran for a state house position, and then he ran for the congressional position in 2018.
I see.
So, this is his going on his third or fourth term now.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Ooh.
so he, 2018, he's still pretty new in the whole
right.
Washington D.C. and and that's good. That's what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to go up there, put in a few years serving the country, and then go home.
Yeah.
What really is the bummer is the fact that they're going to get, they go in there, spend 2 years, and get voted out. They still get a retirement package.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Wouldn't that be nice if we just worked at the job for 2 years and then got a nice yearly income and health care and,
Yep. And, and the thing I would like to see happen to Congress and to make it so that these guys aren't making a crap ton of money, using their office to enrich themselves, is to say, nope, you can't own any stocks. You got to have cash and you got to keep it at a certain level. And, then it doesn't look like you're using your office to enrich yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look at the guy at the White House. Oh shit! I mean, he's got his son taking kickbacks and paying his
guy,
old man.
When he's out of office, he's going to be drawing money from. He's going to be one of the highest paid former presidents around, unless he should croak while he's in office. But
right,
which that could happen too. At his age. But because he gets paid as a former senator, and all the years that he was a senator, he gets paid as a former vice president for 2 terms.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets reelected, God forbid, he gets his first term and his second term presidential retirement, or even if he doesn't get reelected, he still gets for president. I think the last person that that had that kind of money was or that kind of an income was
Bill Clinton.
Bush 42.
Oh, 42?
41, I meant 41.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because he drew from being a civil servant as the head of the CIA.
Right.
He'd been in Congress, I believe, right?
Congress, yep. Mm-hmm.
He'd been the governor of the state of Texas.
Yep.
He'd been a vice president 2 terms.
Right.
And president. And he got a different level of retirement from each one of those places. So he was the highest paid former president. Yeah, former president that we had at the time.
Wow.
And see, poor old Barack, he's just getting it for the few months that he was a Senate, for being a senator, for not even a full term. And
he was also a state senator in Illinois.
Yeah, well, he'll get a little something from the state, but his whole time of serving was he spent more time as a president, serving as president, than he did any other job he had.
Mhm.
So, so he's not really getting that good of a retirement compared to, say, what old President Depends is going to be getting when he gets out of office.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. President Sagibon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he truly is an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah. Yep. Oh boy. So that sort of gets me to our next topic. You were talking about how some people should serve a few terms, and this guy only served 6 terms, has decided not to seek re-election. That would be Ken Buck of District
Colorado.
4 here in Colorado. And his thing was he was just getting tired, like you and I are, about the bickering between the different factions and
of the Republican Party, and some of the two-facedness that's in the Republican Party right now. You got, like you said, the different factions, and they all are. There's a few factions that are trying to serve their fellow American, but then there's the other factions that's trying to serve their fellow self.
Yep. And then there's this, this retribution against Donald Trump. There's the wing of the Republican Party that were never Trumpers.
Yep.
And I believe Romney voted for Biden because he just hated Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And now look at this country now. It's a shambles. We got high inflation, unemployment is not too bad, but could be better. Not as good as it was under Trump. And we got a hot war going on in the Middle East. We got a hot war in Eastern Europe, and everything is just going to shits ever since he got in. Donald Trump, hey, you may not like his tweets, but
and that was the thing they all worried about, that he was going to start wars and get us into some sort of
into World War III.
Into World War III, yeah, they all just knew it. And no, he if anything, he held it off longer than what it would have been. So yeah, Bernie Sanders blamed Trump for Palestine attacking Israel. Yeah,
oh boy. Yeah, right. He's the one that set up the Accords. What is it?
What was that?
Abraham Accords.
The what?
Abraham. Okay, I almost said
Abraham.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Abraham Accords. Yeah,
and
Abraham Accords, however they say it.
And because the reason that worked is we had the sanctions on Iran, and Iran was, people were starving, and money wasn't going into terrorist organizations, and what's his name? Joe Biden comes in. First thing he pulls out of Afghanistan, leaves all that equipment there, and where did it go? It went to the terrorists.
Yep.
And then he lifted the sanctions on Iran for humanitarian reasons, and that money got funneled into Hezbollah and Hamas, and they had like 2 or 3 years they were training for this to happen, and people gotta realize these people don't think like us. They want to die. They want to kill as many innocent civilians as possible.
Yeah,
You know?
and that's it. Yeah, and it's real simple. Okay, the sanctions worked because and prevented the terrorism because the money they had to go to buy food. You
Right.
know, whereas once that for humanitarian purposes, okay, they no longer have to spend that money for food. They can now spend it on terrorism. You know, it's
Yep.
not to say it's a direct result of, but it's the money being used on humanitarian efforts is being used for that, but it frees up. It's like, okay, if somebody comes and buys all my groceries, that means I can go out and buy another drone because I don't have to spend my money on groceries each week. You know?
Yep. Yep. And they constructed a labyrinth. Yeah, that's a big word, I know, especially for Okies.
Such
A labyrinth of tunnels underneath their country. The way I look at it is, the hell with them. Start dropping bunker busting bombs and destroying and kill as many of those, I hate to say this, bastards, as Patton would say. Kill more of them than us and be rid of Hamas. I mean, those civilians, they probably had a gun pointed at their head saying, vote for us or you die. And they voted.
Well, yeah.
So,
they're
or on the other hand, they could think, well, hey, if it helps our cause and we will die for it. And so it's like, well, let's help them, you know? And
I mean, it's what we need is more Ahmeds, and Ahmed the dead terrorist. That's what we need right now. A whole bunch more of them. Just goes to show you, either way, they're dummies.
And not only that, but the leader of Hamas is living in luxury in Doha, Qatar, or Qatar. Why isn't Mossad out there trying to bump him off or kidnap him?
Or the CIA, for that matter.
Speaking of hostages, the way I look at the hostages that the Hamas have, hey, those people are dead. They should be considered dead because they are never going to be out alive. So forget about them. Go in and just level the place and get to a point where, then Hamas they either scurry out of the country like cockroaches.
Well, and that's sort of the problem they've run into is they've been allowing some of the been having them head towards the southern border or the southern Gaza, and they're allowing people to come through, but they've also found out that a lot of them coming through are members of Hamas, not just the civilian population, but they're coming across. Oh, we're innocent, and it turns out no, they're part of Hamas,
right?
And that's why Egypt is not wanting them to come in, because they don't want Hamas in Egypt,
right? Yeah,
they've already had.
They might have problems with them in their country. I mean, look at what the Muslim Brotherhood did. They went and assassinated their president, Anwar Sadat.
Yeah.
And
and that's why they outlawed them. And then when the Muslim Brotherhood ended up coming, when they had the what they call it, the Arab Spring or whatever they called that, when all of the Muslim Brotherhood got elected into control of Egypt, well, they ended up, the military stepped in and said, no, we're not going to have this. Right. They outlawed them. They took back over and then got had a new election and made sure that the Muslim Brotherhood was run out of Egypt, or as much as they could.
Right.
because they don't want it. They've lived in relative, peace since the David Accords, Camp David Accords.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for 20-something years or 17
Right.
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve made a good point that the underground is so vast. Just work their way back. Like, if you just bomb around certain points, like around the edges to where are they going to go? They
Well,
have
the
to
thing
escape
is, you
out
have to make
into a
sure, right,
devastated town,
block off, bomb any entrance they know about, and
Yep.
come at it from the sea as well, because that's
Right.
one side of Gaza is facing the ocean, and
Right.
they should be able to pin them down there. A war of attrition, if nothing else.
Yep.
But they want it to be over with fast, and I think they're slowly but surely moving into a full blown ground campaign.
Right.
And they're going to start doing what we did during Vietnam, sending down tunnel rats to clear out the tunnels.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
well, now we got more sophisticated ways of taking care of
Doing
those.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, all we
Yeah.
have to do is shoot a missile down there that would just set off a ripple of explosions that would just cave in those tunnels,
Yeah.
And and then we got these idiots here in this country that are calling for a ceasefire. And the way I look at it is, hey, if you're for a ceasefire, you are anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
And
even Hillary Clinton said it wouldn't be a good idea to have a ceasefire. She said that would be a gift to Hamas.
Well, that's about the smartest thing she's ever said. Yeah.
I agree. It really is.
And how about these colleges that allow these organizations, these pro-Palestinian organizations? I think those students ought to lose their college credits, and a list of those students given to corporations, and the corporations will, you just effed yourself. You're not going to be working here.
Yeah,
because
well,
your
and the problem
is not going to be worth shit here.
Yeah,
So
well,
we're
and
not
the other problem is it's the teachers and the administrators of these colleges that believe this. They're they swallowed the
that's
Kool-Aid
why
years ago.
I want to burn it down. I want to burn down these higher ed places and start over. Get new people in, professors that have actual world experience, real world experience. Not these highfalutin leftists who don't know shit about anything, and come in and really teach students, how to use their degree to make themselves readily employable. So, I think these professors that are about to retire, we should retire them and then purge the rest of them and say, sorry, I'm like the people that want to defund the police. Let's defund higher ed and start over. Let's tear it down and yank it out by the roots, and especially J schools and teachers' colleges.
What real good do most of these degrees, what are they worth now anyways? Because, all it's doing is it's really helping the lending companies,
Yeah, the lending companies and the schools and the government, because government got involved, and that's what's driving up the costs of these schools.
Yeah, and these schools are not teaching anything of value anymore. You know,
Right.
every degree is almost every degree now is a liberal arts degree, and they're
Right.
not teaching them a trade or a business or how to run a business. You know, I mean, and I think you can get an MBA in pottery. You know,
Mhm.
and you know what good does it do it? You know. So yeah, that means I got an MBA. I can go to work at the
I
pottery
got a
barn. That's about
PhD
how
in
much it's.
philosophy.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And but they end up in debt. So they go to the company, or they go to the party that's willing to forgive their debt, and they're willing to preach their bullshit, so that to help keep those people in power. And it's our modern education system. I mean, high school education from 1949 is far better than a 4-year or even a 6-year degree
Mm-hmm.
uh, in today's times, you know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, because, well, Judy's mother, she could have started teaching in the 8th grade, you know, and it was that way in Colorado. I knew a lady who was an 8th grade teacher, and she graduated the 8th grade, and that's why we have 8th grade graduations now, because that's what they used to do. They could
Mm-hmm.
test in 9th grade, or being at the end of their 8th grade year, they could start teaching, you know.
Right.
And even in Colorado, not just Oklahoma. And like I said, one of my girlfriends, her grandmother was an 8th grade teacher there in
Right.
Colorado. My mother went to school for 12 years and ended up, I mean, she had to learn Latin, you know,
Right.
she had to learn, you know, they taught the arts, she learned business.
Mm-hmm.
And in after World War II, she ended up becoming a business manager, or a manager of not only one store, but ended up there. They had 12 stores there in the Denver area, and she had managed each one of them.
Wow.
She opened 10. She opened 10 out of the 12 stores, but she had been the manager of the first 2 stores. And then she opened the other 10 herself and trained
Wow.
all of the employees. This is a woman in the 1940s, late 40s, early 50s. You know, it's unheard of. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it, you know, as a matter of fact, she was so well liked by her employers that they actually they actually offered my dad $500 and the title to a brand new car if he just not marry her and take her away.
The anti-dowry.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it was. And they had the car sitting out in the parking lot of the church. They approached him outside the church and said, "There's $500 in the glove box of that car. Just get in it. The title, we'll sign the title right here." And you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my mother was a very strong woman, very smart woman.
Mm-hmm.
Taught me a lot about the English language, which she's probably rolling over in her grave now,
Yeah.
because I
You
I
put the R's in the wrong places.
I always did that though. I don't know. It must have been the way it must have.
Yeah. Must
That
be
was
the
one of the.
Okie thing. You've
No,
been
well, it
corrected.
could be. Well, my dad was an Okie, so
Ah, okay.
Okie in Arkansas, so it could have been from that. But
Mm-hmm.
I had her and my aunt used to correct my English. God, I hated when we went anywhere with my aunt, because I said the wrong thing. They were both correcting me. That's not how
Mm-hmm.
you say that. So I
My
learned proper English.
my dad was the same way, and I always you know, think about what I say, how I say it, and uh, because now I'm around Filipinas, and I listen to their English, and I want to correct them, and I want to say no. That's just, I
Yeah.
don't want to come off as a he's a snobby
Oh,
American. It's like, just gotta accept that just the way things
I
are in their
I
country.
get what aggravates me is to listen to the newscasters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I hear, they'll say something on that, and it might be they say it in a plural, and it shouldn't. There's I s- I'll see the way they use a word in a sentence, and I'll go, "You're newscasters. You're supposed to have a degree in news, a degree in literature or journalism, you should know better than to write a script like that, or
Right.
if the people who are writing your teleprompter are doing it wrong, then you should correct it as it's coming up. And it just aggravates me to no end to hear a newscaster use an inappropriate response.
Right.
I do it, and when I was going through college, of course, I have a degree in English literature. But when I was going through it, my teacher says, you can talk hokey all you want, but you better write English.
Yep.
And in other words, we could say it the way we wanted, but when it came to reading and writing, we had better say it in proper English. He says, you can talk hokey all you want, but you better write proper English. So, and Andrew, Judy is doing good. He's doing pretty good today.
Steve made a good point here. He was in Lebanon in 79. And as I recall, wasn't Lebanon kind of a Christian enclave there?
Yeah, Lebanon was very big. The Lebanese people like Danny Thomas and
Jamie Farr.
Jamie Farr. There was a lot of the
Steve Carpenter.
Yeah, there's a lot of Christian Lebanese. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Sam Zackham, former state senator and ambassador to Bahrain, who used to work at the company that I worked for, and his nephew took over and sadly ran the company into the ground. They were Christians from Lebanon, and
Lebanese. Yeah, the Lebanese had a large enclave of, I think. I'm trying to think what particular. They weren't. I don't think they were Eastern Orthodox.
Right.
They were. I can't remember what particular group of Christian that was in
Coptics?
there. Coptics, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were driven out in the 80s by the Muslims, and then because Lebanon was a pretty prosperous country. Beirut was the Paris or the Riviera of the Mediterranean, Eastern Mediterranean. And ever since the Muslims drove them out, places turned to hell. And then they had that explosion that wrecked a big part of the city. It looked like a nuclear detonation went off. I've seen the video.
Yeah.
And that ship blew up, and you see the shock wave just come right at you.
Yeah, like Cool Cat says, Lebanons were primarily Christian prior to Islamization, and that's where the Coptic Christians, both in there were still a lot in Egypt. I don't think there's too many. They're all Christian and Steve's 50% Lebanese on his mom's side of the family.
Right.
Yeah.
They immigrated through Cuba and then Mexico. Okay.
Mexico. And 13 years to enter. It took them 13 years once they were established in Mexico to enter the United. And he's told me this. So they've gone through a lot, and they did it the proper way,
Right.
Now they could probably just walk across the friggin' border and nobody would say anything.
There you go.
Which is very sad.
Yep.
But it's the people the people that are the Muslims or the Muslims and Arabs that are there now are a different brand of what there were in the up to. A lot of this is really goes to Jimmy Carter. A lot of the blame lies with Jimmy Carter for not supporting the Iranian government that was elected after the Shah stepped down due to his health.
Right.
Because he put his vice president or whatever he was stepped up and was a duly elected president. But Jimmy Carter wouldn't do it because, you know, the Ayatollah is a man of religion, so he must be nice.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know? And there it goes where a guy doesn't...
Yeah, that's where a bad politician can have devastating effect on history. I mean, same thing could be said here in Colorado with Dick Lamb, because he laid the groundwork for the leftist state Supreme Court that adopted every Democrat reapportionment map. And that's why this state turned friggin' blue. It took them 40 years, but they did it.
Right.
And it just makes me mad. And then when I got involved in politics, I got to see right there the different factions fighting. The establishment. Oh, the Tea Party. Oh, the RMGO wing, and all that. It just, and
that's
I say, screw it. You know, the party is done here. We're a minority party. We're just barely higher than the libertarians because we got less than 25%. Of people that are, you know.
Well, our whole country has you know, the starting back in the 70s when the Supreme Court became really liberal, and you know, and moving forward, you know, it's unfortunately the Republicans have not, you know, their infighting goes all the way back to probably from their beginning, you know.
Well, if you go back to Goldwater,
exactly. That's what I was thinking of. Goldwater's when this is when this really started dividing the party, because and that's why Goldwater lost, because the Republicans didn't stick together as a voting bloc and vote for the man. You know, he's your you know, because there's
one knock against Goldwater was, you know, he voted against the Civil Rights Bill because he believed it was states' right. You know, he was thinking like a libertarian, and that's,
he was. And there again, the Civil Rights Bill and the abortion laws, you know, they should be left up to the states, you know, but in the case of the civil rights, abortion is one thing, but civil rights is a far different ball of wax, because it has to do with every American's right to vote, you know, and that's where the problem was at. And that's, you know, his thinking may have been along the same lines that we think about Roe versus Wade, you know, states' rights, but that's a medical life choice process, you know, compared to you can't help you can't help what you're born to be or how you're born. But if you're born in America, you have a right to vote, and and that should not be suppressed by any state.
Right.
You know, and
that's true.
you know, I living here in Oklahoma, we're very fortunate. We are a conservative state, but we're also very fair-minded. I mean, matter of fact, there's a new series on that's just started on Paramount, and it's the story of Bass Reeves. Oh
yeah, I saw that. I may start watching that.
It's good. And funny thing, we were watching the David Tennant in Around the World in 80 Days, the PBS series that was on last year or year before. And when they come through when Phineas Fogg and his party comes through the United States, one of the people they run into is Bass Reeves. And then today it popped up on my feed that Bass Reeves was available, so we started watching it. This was a man who was a slave. He fled there's not sure exactly how, but basically the idea is he ended up getting in a card game with his master and ended up beating him half to death, and then his first wife had him run to get away from towards freedom. He ended up in the Indian Territory, which is Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually he moves into Arkansas, which is where he was originally from. He ended up down in Texas because his original master, he was given to the master's son, who went down to Texas and fought with the Texas in the Civil War, and he was forced to blah blah blah. But he comes back to Arkansas and is picked up as become a member of the posse for one of the deputy U.S. Marshals, Judge Parker, out of Fort Smith, and sends him into the Indian Nation because they're looking for somebody there. And when he'd gotten away from and ran away, he'd made it in, and he lived with the in the Indian Nation for quite a few years and learned their language. And so that's why he ended up being, and at the end of it, he gets appointed as a deputy U.S. Marshal, the first black deputy U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi, and eventually becomes a deputy U.S. Marshal and head of the Marshal Service here in Muskogee, Oklahoma, at the federal courthouse.
Wow.
Then becomes the first black Muskogee police officer.
Oh,
Just a few years before he retired. So yeah,
wow, wonderful.
he's very well known. But that is because we have people like that in our history here in Oklahoma, and that we probably have a little more of an open-minded attitude about stuff, because
Right.
this was Indian Territory, and there was a lot of the slaves that made it here, and they were declared freemen, and they married into some of the Native American, like the Creek and the Cherokee tribes, and
Choctaw.
their ancestors, and Choctaw, but mainly the Muskogee Creek and the Cherokees are the two main tribes that they married into. And those,
Okay.
matter of fact, the Cherokees tried to actually have all of their ancestors turned down because they weren't they weren't real Native Americans. They were called freedmen, freedmen Indians, and they were adopted into the tribe. But then it turned out they lost that. They lost that bet. But that was by the Cherokee Nation. That's just been within the last 10 years or 20 years. But we still have a very open-minded, so our Republican Party here is pretty much pretty well balanced. We don't have the,
That's good.
we don't have too much infighting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I sadly, I think that's gonna, this division is gonna, I don't know if it'll work out anytime soon. It may take many, many years, look at Lauren Boebert is going to be primary this time around. And Ken Buck was going to get primaried, and he just decided, you know what, I'm done with this, and I will work within the party to try to fix things. So hopefully he get working here in Colorado to where we could get turned around and start getting quality candidates to run for office instead of these fringe idiots or these establishment candidates that one faction won't support because they don't like him. And it's
well, and that's the problem with the Republican Party. They need to have a generalized, an acceptable platform. They all right. This is what our core values as a Republican is.
Right.
Now, not everybody's going to agree 100% with that. With some of it, not everybody's either side, but we have a basic core value, and we need to vote for people that follow this basic, this minimum, minimal. If some are a little more conservative than others, well, okay, they're still doing their job, and they're still
Right.
presenting our core values, then we should support them. And that's
also get candidates that that fit the district, because you
right,
can't
right.
have
Because
far right wing guys running in,
a
a
moderate,
moderate district that's just
yeah,
barely Republican.
yeah,
Otherwise, you're going to scare off a bunch of, people in the
independence,
party there,
yeah,
independents. They'll just vote for the other guy. And
yeah.
I've seen this happen
And
time and time again. And it's like,
well, and it's not just you're not just running into it in Colorado.
guy, I'm just
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
leave it blank, you know?
yeah. And that's what happens. This is what happened in 2020. You know,
Mhm.
uh, you can you can say the election was stolen or not. Your choice. That's your decision. You can look at it however you want. But the part of the problem is our message. We had too many divisions in the party at that point,
Mhm.
and they chose to, they can all say, well, the election was stolen. A lot of people chose just not to vote
Mhm. Yep.
rather than vote for, and, and that's not right either, so
Yeah.
we've got to find these, people that fit, uh, we got to find people that fit we got to have a
A balance.
platform of some sort, a
Yeah.
balance. Yeah, we got to have something that's
Yep.
a reason, a
Something that-
means test.
Right. I want to say hello to Bill Ronayne of Uncle Bill's Toys. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Hope you got your internet issues taken care of. And you know what? Steve makes a good point. Today's GOP are the old school and want to continue their control of the party. Why would you think the GOP would put a rule that you have to vote for the party's picks?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and that's it. We've got a lot of old school uh, uh, yeah, we've got a
Yeah.
lot of establishment people that do not want to give up their power under any circumstances, and what they don't understand is they're destroying their own power.
Right.
It's a self-destructive choice that they're making. They're
Yep.
destroying the party, and at the same time, they're destroying the country. And if they truly, if they were truly serving the country and the people of this country, they would stop and look at what is for the betterment of the country, not what's betterment
Right.
for my pocketbook.
Hmm.
And I don't care if they're Democrats or Republicans; they're all doing it.
Yep.
Except obviously for Mr. Johnson, who hasn't been there long enough to have figured it out yet. He's still living paycheck to paycheck.
Well, guys, we've gone over a little over an hour, and boy, we covered a lot of stuff today. I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming, and hope you all have a great week. I am off tomorrow, so I will be joining Uncle Bill tonight if he gets his internet working.
Right.
I think he was on last night, and I popped in just in the chat for a little while. So, yes, Lloyd.
Well, I was going to say next week I'll try to get in a little bit. I'll try to get in a few words and not let Charles hog the whole conversation like he did this
Yeah,
week.
that's true. So, everybody have a great evening, and we'll catch you all next week. And talk to you later. Good night, everybody. And maybe, I'll just